give the attention and take notes because it's going to be really life-changing. I love Mr. Loomer. He's a really good friend of mine, and he has traveled around the world, around the world actually, if you really want to think about it, and shared plant medicine. Plant medicine is amazing. Big Pharma can't take a hold of it, which is really cool, and you're going to learn all about that. And what's really awesome to me is that we can see testimonial after testimonial how plant medicine is changing people, where you're not chained to some kind of magic pill or something weird. So let's give Mr. Loomer a big hand as he comes up here.
Man, I got to hold a microphone.
I'm sorry.
And a table. Can I move this?
Yeah, we can move it.
Scares me. I'm wet enough. All right. What's going on?
What's going on?
You guys good?
Yeah.
Are you dry?
Yeah.
I'm not dry. I'm happy to be here, though. I mean, it's kind of crazy getting here, so I'm glad you did whatever you had to do to make it through this weather and be here. We'll make sure that what we share with you is valuable to you. And the biggest thing I just ask is you're going to have to maybe be a little bit open for what I'm going to share with you. See, sometimes you're going to have to, we all do, we have to unlearn what we've learned to kind of get over ourselves to move forward. And so, especially with what I'm going to talk about tonight, that's super important, okay? And I'm going to take this off. If I look exhausted, I am. Okay? Bear with me.
What kind of show is this?
Okay, yeah. Here we go. This cord's freaking me out too.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
The lapel's kind of
If I just like pull back. No, it's good. Okay, so here's the deal. We just flew in yesterday. Been on the road for almost a month, wearing the same clothes. I did wash it today. So I've got a wash sweater. That's the good news. The bad news is it's not dry. I think worse than that, it's kind of an expensive sweater and you're not supposed to wash it. So I'm sure I'll hear from Tylene on that when I get back. Tylene tapped out, by the way. That's why she's not here. We've been gone for about a month. Yesterday we flew in, got up about 2, 3 o'clock Arizona time from New York City. And we flew in, did some really incredible meetings that can't wait to share with you down the road. I can't say anything tonight, but just amazing meetings yesterday. And then we got done with those, and we drove. We hurried up, we got in the car, and we drove to Tucson. We had a nice little group of 150 people or so down there that we wanted to get in front of, and it's been a whirlwind. Things have really changed in the last couple of months, and I'm gonna share with you why that is. You know, prior to New York, we were in Florida for about a week. West Palm, Miami, back and forth. Prior to that, we were in Puerto Rico. We were there 8 or 9 days. Met with about 500-600 people. Showed up at an event just like this in Puerto Rico. And they came to learn about plant medicine. They came to learn about what's going on with this CBD thing that's happening, that most people don't understand what really is going on. And I like to do this. How many of you know what CBD is? I'm just curious. Okay, it's a good amount. Tucson is probably about the same. Every city we go to is a little different. Went to Puerto Rico, there's about 500 people, and maybe, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 people raised their hand. Could have been because they didn't understand my English. I don't know. That could be part of it. Didn't know what I was saying. But it's different. It's different everywhere you go. And so what I want to share with you is what has happened since the Farm Bill has taken place, what that means to all of us. And that only happened back in the middle of December, a couple months ago. My wife and I, as Rhonda mentioned, and Rhonda's super cool. I still don't believe Rhonda's doing this, like showing enzymes with pudding and things like that, because she's a raw. Are you a raw food chef? Because you don't. Is that what would you say a chef? Because you don't cook anything. So you're not a raw food cook. You're a raw food preparer. Chemist. With good. All right, that works. So. Anyway, so for the last 15 to 20 years, Tylene and I have been doing this. And really just educating, making people more aware of plant medicine. And now that's gone to a whole nother level, right? We've obviously been involved with stabilized probiotics, plant enzymes, whole foods, things like that. And that's been life-changing. And we've watched thousands of lives over the years change. But nothing has been anywhere close of what's taken place in the past couple of months with the Farm Bill. And I want to explain that. And prior to that, we were still doing what we're now doing, but because of the Farm Bill, I can stand here in front of you publicly and share this information. You see, for the past 5 years, we've been in the shadows because we weren't supposed to be doing what we were doing. But we did it anyways because that's kind of who we are and what we do. We want to help people. We want to help you tonight understand that you can take more of your health into your own hands. And that's really been our biggest message for the last 15 plus years. And some of you know it's always kind of an emotional time to come back to Phoenix. A lot of memories here. You know, we've lived here for quite a while. My wife and I live in San Diego now. We have a blended family, 6 kids, 7 grandkids. There's a lot of people running around. And when I come back here, it just reminds me of what we were doing for so many years in Phoenix. Then you guys remember Steve Nash, right? Steve was our partner with us, and that was an amazing time. He helped us really catapult into a lot of other things. And you know, Tylene has worked with hundreds and hundreds of doctors, you know, and health practitioners over the years. And she's been shouting from the rooftops, gut health. You know, everything starts in the gut. And we've been laughed at and, you know, called weirdos and hippies and woohoo and whatever. Woohoo or woo-woo, I don't know. I don't know. Tylene says we're kind of like hippies, but we take showers. So I don't know if we qualify for a real hippie. But we live in Ocean Beach in San Diego. If you've ever been there, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's kind of funky down there. But this entire time, it's been really a wake-up call. And when we used to get laughed at, now people are seeking us out from all over. And we get to travel all over the world doing this, but we like to focus in the U.S. And the reason why is, for the last several years, we've been trying to wake people up to A, understand a lot starts in our gut. And like Rhonda, we're not as crazy as her, but we eat a lot of raw food, right? We also understand that this is the sickest generation our country's ever seen. That's not good. That's not cool. We got to do something about that. We want to wake people up to that. And, you know, I think Dr. Oz finally said everything starts in the gut a couple of years ago, and then everyone started believing it, so we don't care. That's cool. Because it's now more mainstream. But more specifically, it's really more about plant medicine. Because even though drugs have their place or medications have their place, no one in this room is drug deficient. Nobody. That's kind of silly. We're nutrient deficient. And there's a time and a place for medications. Crisis care as an example. That might be a time, right, for medication. But most of our country's now medicated. Probably most of this room's medicated. I don't know. And I'm not judging that, it just is what it is. We've gotten to that point. And we love our doctors, but our doctors don't know because they're not taught this. Right? They know what they know. And their first thing to do is to treat a symptom and point you in the direction of some medication. It is what it is. And us, kind of the sheeple, we follow. Even though we watch these commercials on TV that say, try this medication, it's amazing. Your headache might go away, but your arm may fall off, or whatever it is. And we run, I'm in. And we go, and we get medicated. And then we take a drug, and we create a whole nother myriad of other issues. Okay, and that's why we teach, first and foremost, food. You know, Hippocrates said it correct. He was right. Talking about food, let food be thy medicine. And so all of that has transitioned us into the time where we are now. Now, because of the Farm Bill, and I want to address this, I want to talk about CBD. I want to kind of talk about what I would call the ultimate plant medicine right now. And you saw a bunch of hands go up. Most people have heard of CBD. How many people have used, prior to maybe meeting Tylene and I, how many people have used CBD? Just curious. Okay, some scattered hands. Okay, cool. So here's the deal. The Farm Bill went through a couple months ago. Probably the biggest, I think, one of the biggest financial shifts or movements in my lifetime. They're saying it was, the first thing I read was about an $800 billion financial shift. And they're saying that because the rippling effect of not only the farming and CBD, but the banking, credit card processing, everything. This is a big deal, you guys. So if you haven't heard about the Farm Bill, you will. And if you haven't heard about it specifically, your life will be changing because of it. Okay, so please understand that. We're super grateful that you're here. We're super grateful that the Farm Bill went through so we can do this without having to hide anymore. See, they don't like us doing this. They didn't like us talking about plant enzymes. There's many people that, right, they're not around anymore for speaking their mind, whether it's vaccines, whether it's cancer, whether autism. Okay, and if you go way, way back in the day when our medical schools changed, see, over 80% of what was given or prescribed from doctors back in the day were all holistic remedies. And then when the medical schools changed, why did they change? When pharma got involved, they took over and said, this is the deal. You're either going to come over here, you doctors, and you're going to get on the drug wagon, or you are going to be pushed aside. In fact, we're going to humiliate you. You will become a quack. We will discredit you. So you might as well leave the country because you're not going to be practicing what you were practicing anymore. And over time, now we see the end result. So now here we are, the sickest generation we've ever seen. We're kind of jacked up, and we need to change that. That's what this is about. So whatever I share with you, you can take with whatever you want. When the truth resonates with you, you decide what you want to do. It's your life, it's your body, it's your family, it's your friends. Okay? I'm not here to sell you, nor am I here to lie to you. I'm here to share with you. So you're going to need to be open. You're going to have to unlearn what you've learned, like I had to unlearn what I learned. See, I was that straight-laced guy. And when I talked about memories, for example, here locally, see a couple of my coaches, ex-coaches that were here, and guys that work with me. I was a head football coach here at Valley Christian High School in Chandler for 6 years. You know, and I coached high school basketball and sports. And those guys, and I see some guys here that were with me. And I was that coach that said, man, you're not touching anything. Because if you do, you're not part of our program. I was that guy. I never smoked cannabis in my life. I was scared straight by my older brothers. My older brothers were so bad, man, I didn't want to be like them. I talked to one of my brothers last night for the first time in the last couple of years. My brother's probably I'm the youngest of 8. He's 66. I could barely understand him. He's been on drugs for as long as I can remember. Started with heroin. That was his drug of choice. He was a brilliant guy. His life is ruined, like so many. I believe the Farm Bill went through, this is just my perspective. One of the reasons it went through was the opioid epidemic. We're jacked up with that. Okay, you can do your own research on this stuff. This isn't just Sean's perspective. There's a lot going on out there. And it's time that we wake up. We have to wake each other up. It's time to change this. Okay, so here's what the Farm Bill says. The Farm Bill says that if you're CBD, okay, this is back in the middle of December, they finally said we're going to classify this differently. If it's less than 0.3 THC, you're okay. We're going to call you CBD from hemp CBD, whatever you want to call it. Okay? Now we can talk about it. Does that make sense? Okay, let's talk about what CBD is. Some of you are experts, some of you have never even heard of it. All right? CBD is the part of the plant that gets you healed. It's more of the healing properties. We like to say get healed, not high. Okay? It's not, the other part of the plant is THC, which gives you the high effect. Now, THC has its own medicinal properties, its own healing value. Okay, but we're going to talk about CBD tonight, not THC, so I'm sorry. I wanted to learn about the other stuff. That's not what we're talking about. It's very different. And for someone as ignorant as I was, someone who was duped like I was, it really racked my brain as I started to learn, like many people. We were duped. We've been duped. We've been duped on meds. We've been duped on the food. We've been duped. We've been lied to. Period. End of story. Here's what happened. Decades and decades ago in our country, we love our country, the research was banned. It was banned. You couldn't research this plant. Forget using it. You couldn't research the plant. That should have been our first clue. Remember, always follow the money. We say a couple of things all the time, Tylene and I. One is, always follow the money. And the second is, at what cost to the body? Everything you do, at what cost to the body? Okay, so follow the money. The good news is, in 1964 in Israel, gentleman there discovered the value of CBD and what it was. That's pretty cool. But here's what's shocking to me. A couple of decades later, or whenever it was, this one blows my mind. With all these amazing human beings on this planet, these intelligent people that knew we had a nervous system, they knew we had an immune system, they knew we had an endocrine system, and nobody knew we had an endocannabinoid system. Nobody knew that right now, while you're sitting here, your body's trying to produce CBD. No one even knew that. How is that? That's crazy to me. No one knew. And then no one wanted to believe it. So it took Israel to pick up where we wouldn't. To open up the can, right? And just let the cat out of the bag. Now amazing things are happening. Amazing things. With amazing things come some not so amazing things. That's when the marketers like to come out to play. Okay, so part of tonight is I want you to understand the difference of what's going on with CBD and what to be aware of and what to look for. Okay? You guys tracking so far? We good? You're kind of quiet. You're scaring me. I just hear the rain. Or it's this goofy microphone. I don't know. It's kind of funky up here. All right. You with me so far? Yes. Okay. Here's the deal. These CBD products are primarily in the U.S. are considered CBD oils. Okay. Most companies produce a CBD oil. Okay. You're familiar with that. How many people in here have used a CBD oil before? Okay. Pretty good number. Most of those they're interesting. To me, I've tried many of them over the years. Most of them taste like a bad salad dressing to me. They're kind of funky. Most of them, some of them still have medicinal value, even though I'm going to share with you what they do and what I'm not a big fan of. All right? So as we've been working with CBD and plant medicine for the last however many years now, we've seen a lot of change, we've seen a lot of research, we've seen a lot of things happen. So here's what these companies do. They take, most of them started, by the way, with what's called hemp isolate. It was cheap, it was inexpensive, and it was the most legal thing you could do in the states that were allowing it to happen. Most of it, in the beginning, was coming in from China. It wasn't the cleanest stuff you've ever seen. Okay? You could make my shirt with it. Okay? That is a single molecule plant. It's a little different plant than a cannabis plant. Still medicinal value there, but not the same. So what they do is they extract this plant, or whatever it is they're trying to extract, usually the stems, the leaves, and they do this typically with chemicals. Butane, alcohol, propylene glycol, right? A lot of heat, or maybe the cleanest of the dirty would be critical CO2. Okay? And they're extracting these plants, and the end result is an oil. Is your body mostly water or oil? Okay, I'm not that smart, but I know that one. All right. They try to take this oil they've produced, and they need to make a lot of it. So they buy a lot of material to extract, and then they add in other things to this oil when they're done. They're like other carriers, other oils, maybe flavoring to get more bang for their buck. Okay, you understand? And then, by the way, if you're extracting, by the way, with chemicals, your equipment, what do you think you have to clean it with? Chemicals. Okay, so now it's even more funky if you're into the environment at all. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. So you take this oil, and most of these companies are going to ask you to take it sublingually. They're going to ask you to put it under your tongue. What's fascinating about all of this, by the way, is most people in the space, I mean actually in the space, people who own CBD businesses, people who grow, people who do all these different things, most of them don't even get this. See, the medical marijuana stuff, that was cool, kinda, okay, when the dispensaries started. Do you remember about 5 years ago when CNN did a special report, Dr. Sanjay Gupta? Do you remember that? You can look that one up. He basically came out to the public, like I'm doing, and saying how ignorant I was, and he was saying he apologized. He was wrong. He didn't know what he didn't know. And then they showed all these kids in having seizures, like going from like 78 seizures to 1 or 2 a day. Do you guys remember that? And then what happened? Then everyone started moving from all over the country to Colorado, right? Because it was the only place they could go take care of their families. I mean, that was sad in itself. You guys got to understand the power of what's happening, how beautiful this is with the Farm Bill. So all these things start happening, and these people start opening dispensaries for medical marijuana. That's a different world. Okay, that's a different world. It's a different day. And what they started doing in that environment is they started growing synthetically. They started adding things into those plants in those specific strains because they wanted to get. Well, let me back up. I wasn't pot guy, okay? But in the 60s and 70s, if people used cannabis, they got high, right? Heard of that? That's not what they do nowadays. Now, you get rocked. You get stoned. It's very different. We live in a different time. They're amplifying, they're growing these plants to a whole nother level. It's pretty interesting. So when you look at this space and you say, well, who are these people? They're creating these CBD oils. Let's get back to that. They're asking you to put it under your tongue typically. Most of them are typically the dropper would be considered a dose. Most droppers are about 20 drops. So some products it's 10 drops, some it's 30 drops, whatever it is. And they're asking you to put this dropper and fill underneath your tongue and hold it there. Okay, hold it there, and they're asking you to hold it for 90 seconds, a couple minutes, a minute. Do you know why? Because they're trying to get your body to absorb it. Okay? And by the way, the reality is probably 6 to 10%, depending on what research you look at for oil absorption into the human body. Okay, when they do that. You know, we were laughing last night because if I hold something under my tongue for 90 seconds, I'm drooling. I'm going to lose the medicine anyways. So now I've wasted my time and my money. But they're asking you to do that because they know the body's not going to take all that. Okay, and I want you to understand a comparison here. When we teach plant medicine, when we teach whole food supplementing and things of that nature, we've always taught something simple, like vitamin C, because everyone here is familiar with vitamin C, right? Did you know that still 9 out of 10 companies in the U.S. still make their vitamins, supplements from synthetic ingredients? So we try to stay away from that. So when you're using vitamin C as an example, if you go home and you want to look at your vitamins and you'll see vitamin C has ascorbic acid, typically that'll be hydrochloric acid in corn syrup, genetically modified corn syrup, and most people in here are not genetically modified corn syrup deficient, right? It's kind of goofy. You're vitamin C deficient. But when you go down to the doc and you say, Doc, I got this cold or whatever it is, and Doc says, well, run down to CVS or Walgreens and get a gazillion milligrams of vitamin C. Why is he doing that, or she? Because they know they're going to try to get your body to take whatever it can from that. By the way, that's not even actual vitamin C. That's a part of the vitamin C molecule. So when you're taking that, your body's looking at, trying to figure that out. It's a whole other story, but the point is, you don't need a gazillion milligrams of real vitamin C. If you're my age, you guys remember in school when, what do they call it, the limeys cured themselves of scurvy? Anybody remember that? Called them the limeys? Okay, they weren't called the limeys because they were using ascorbic acid. They were called the limeys because they were eating limes. Okay? Get the whole medicine value that's in nature. We're so far away from nature. That's our problem. We're so far off the nature trail. We want to play God. We want to mimic God or Mother Nature, and we can't. We can do some things that are pretty cool in a lab. That's true. But when you get off the nature trail, now you're forcing things into the body. We don't want to do that. We want your body to work just like it does in nature. We want if you guys both had a bowl of spinach right now, and your body wanted the iron in that spinach, and his didn't, he would just pass it. He'd eat it. His body wouldn't take the iron. Your body would break away that molecule, right? And it would absorb. I need that iron right now. Does that make sense to you? Let your body decide. Don't force things into your body. Let it decide. The same thing with oil. As we look at these CBD oils, and they're trying to force absorption into the body, they're doing the best they can. And as goofy as these things are, most of them still work. There's still medicinal value to these oils. You'll hear people say what it's done for them. It's not that they're all bad. Some of them are. Some are just garbage. I like to say the word poo. A lot of bottles are just because the marketers come out to play. You don't know what's in that bottle. And I've talked to some of these folks. It's not that great. If you're going to spend your time and money on plant medicine, get the best plant medicine you can. Don't waste your time and don't waste your money. And oh, by the way, CBD oil has what they call a bell curve. They don't even know how to dose this stuff yet. And if you take too much CBD oil, you start to lose the effect. So now you're wasting your time and money again. They haven't quite figured that out. And they're all playing the milligram game. So don't be duped by that. Because when it first came out, it was 50 milligrams or 100 milligrams. And then the next company opened and it was 200 milligrams. Then it was 300, 500, 750, 1,000, 1,500. And now it's like, one we read was a gazillion or whatever it was. I don't even know, not milligrams, it was some other, nanograms. What the heck's a nanogram? Okay, they're just going to try to outdo each other. It means nothing. If you don't have the whole thing, yes, you'll get some plant medicine, but you won't get all the other phytonutrients and the things that, the terpenes and everything that's in there from the first time you pulled it out. Not poo that you try to add back in to make it whole. You can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. It doesn't work that way. Okay? So you take these oils, you get some medicinal value, and then here's the other thing you've got to be aware of. No one tells you this. No one ever talks about your cost per dose. Never. They don't want you to know that. Do the math. I'm not a math guy. Get your little phone out with a calculator. If the bottle's this big and you're putting 20 drops in at a time, I don't care what you pay, do the math. How many doses are you getting out of that bottle? Not very many. Most CBD oils will be anywhere from $3, $4 up to $8, $9 a dose. We have seen them up to $25 a dose. That's not very cool, right? I don't know about you, but I don't want to spend that much dosing CBD. And Pharma's already, by the way. You guys didn't know this. Pharma's, they announced the first cannabis drug a few months ago. That was announced. They said it's going to be, they figure about $1,000 a month per patient. That's fabulous. That'll help our health insurance, I'm sure. $1,000 for something you should be able to do for $100. Doesn't make any sense. These are the things I want you to take away. These are the things I want you to know if you're going to do this. I want to tell you something that was discovered, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. We met this gentleman about 5 years ago. We were put together with someone who was on our path of plant medicine. And what he figured out was completely by accident. He figured out a way to extract any plant on this planet, any plant, not just hemp or cannabis, without using chemicals or a bunch of heat or critical CO2. He figured out a way to keep the plant intact. The flower, the whole flower. And he created something that we like to call whole flower fluid, not oil. And it's very different than oil. Meaning, you don't use 10 or 20 or 30 drops, you use 2. You just drop it on your tongue and it goes away. Or you drop it on topically and rub it on. Or you drop it in the dog's food and you just mix it in. It's very different. It doesn't have anything added back in. You don't need to do that when you're using the whole flower. When you're getting everything from the flower, you don't have to add anything in. I want you, if you would like to, I have a little bit here, I might have another one. Would any of you want to experience or taste that? You want to taste that? If I let you guys, okay. Do you have some? Because I have some more. Can you just go around that side? And hold on, before you do that, all I want you to do is give him one little drop on your hand. And then I just want you to go like this. Just want you to just lick it off. Okay? Some lady we met calls it a licky lick. Now listen, I want to tell you something. Some of you you're gonna love it. You're gonna say, wow. Some of you are gonna not like it. You're gonna say, that's too much for me. That's strong. That tastes like a plant. Okay? The good news is, if you don't like it, you can simply drop it in that glass of water in front of you because it's completely water compatible, unlike CBD oil. Okay? Some of you, it might remind you of high school. I don't know. Maybe some of you, it reminds you before you left the house on the way over here. Or out in the parking lot. Just kidding. but I want you to taste it. And it's going to taste different. Some of you are going to feel it traveling through your body. Some of you, your feet are going to get warm. It's very interesting. And I'm going to tell you a couple things that we've experienced. You don't need to believe me. That's okay. I'm not paid to be here. I'm not here to lie to you. Let me tell you what's been going on since the Farm Bill passed. We've already had these experiences for the past 5 years kind of underground, right? But we were working with a lot of patients. Maybe we were with the cancer facilities in Tijuana, Cancun, or Paris. Places where we were allowed to do this, okay? What we've noticed now, because now we're talking about thousands and thousands of people, there are some amazing things happening, things that are still kind of blowing my mind. That I still, if I didn't watch firsthand, even watching firsthand half the time, I don't believe it. It's just really interesting stuff. I'm going to give you a couple examples, because I continue to get mind blown. A few weeks ago, we were in California. We were in San Jose one night. The next night, we were in Sacramento. The next night, we were in Modesto. And everywhere we went, the crowd got bigger and bigger and bigger, because some wild things were happening. There's a couple things I want to share with you. It's kind of interesting to me. And I think it was video. There's a lot of cameras going on here. It was in Modesto, California. It's probably 150, 200 people. I don't know what it was. It's a pretty packed little room. And there was a lady right here. She was sitting here after we just did what you guys did. And she had a big, tall black cane with a big, like, crown thing on the top. And she raised her hand. And I said, ma'am, if you just hold your questions to the end, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, but I will stay after and answer your question. And she put her hand down. And I went on to talk a couple more moments, and then she stood up and came right here and stood next to me. This was about 3 weeks ago. And she had a big stick, okay? It's true stuff. And I looked at her, and I just looked at everyone like this, and pictured this woman here, and I said, she's got a big stick. I'm going to go ahead and give her the microphone. And I handed her the microphone. And she went on to say, tell everyone, I've had 2 knee replacements, I have MS, and I have something blah, blah, blah with her spine. This is on video somewhere. She took her cane and she threw it. It's true stuff. It looked like a bad church deal, like a revival or something. But she threw it and she walked over there and she walked back. It's true, you guys. This has been happening in a lot of places. And I got the microphone and I said, I do not know her. This was not planned. Please believe me. And just as I was saying that, she started to go there. A hand went back up in that corner. There was a couple. And a lady that was emotional. I'm like, geez, what happened? She really didn't like the flavor or something. And she said, she goes, look at me. Look at me. And she started doing this. I was in a car accident 20 years ago. I haven't done this in 20 years. Blah, blah, blah. That was off of a drop, you guys. It was off of a drop. 1 drop. The week before, Salt Lake City, Utah, we're in Salt Lake City, Utah doing this. A gentleman comes up. He takes the drops. I took 2. Tylene was there, I was there. Another lady who now follows us to most cities. She's not here tonight. In fact, she's the one who deemed it the licky lick. She's watching this man with Parkinson's. She watches his hand stop shaking. And then she watches him, and we all start watching. His words start, they kind of shake, if you know some folks. And his words, he's calm now. His son starts to cry. He's watching his father, who he has not seen ever been like this, from 2 drops of what that was. This is why we're doing what we're doing. And we're running as fast as we can right now. We need people to know the truth about CBD. It doesn't mean you can't get value from CBD oils. You can. You can't get what you can get in that fluid from the flower. Less is more. And by the way, that's probably about $2 a dose. So you're almost always the most cost effective, and you're getting the best plant medicine that we've at least witnessed over the past 5 years into the human body. Let's talk about what does that mean? These receptors in the body, this endocannabinoid system, what is it? It's kind of like a communication system within the body. You've got your nervous system, endocrine system, right, that we talked about, your immune system. And by the way, CBD is like the immune system of the plant. Okay, so all your systems start to talk and communicate, including your endocannabinoid system. It's kind of like the master network of what's going on in the body. And then just picture in your body all these like little locks. They're empty locks. And when you get real CBD medicine into your body, it's like putting little keys in these locks that are starving. We've been starving for this plant. It's pretty fascinating. There's 2 main receptors in the human body. They think there's 3. They're still researching. But one of the big receptors is right near the brain. So, I mean, that makes sense why you're seeing the things like seizures, right? All these types of things of Parkinson's and blah, blah, all this stuff. All this stuff, you guys, we're not even supposed to talk about. Okay? The discoveries are still happening. Can you see why they don't want this stuff always talked about if you follow the money? Does that make sense to you? If you could heal things in your body with things like raw food and plant enzymes, let me tell you something. When I met Tylene 20 years ago, when I was coaching here at Valley or whenever it was, I had bad arthritis in my hands, I had acid reflux, I had indigestion. So imagine hearing, maybe you're just hearing about enzymes. So 20 years ago, she taught me about plant enzymes, stabilized probiotics, whole food supplementing. Went to a specialist in Scottsdale, specialist, 2 of them, 2 doctors in Phoenix. One doc told me they wanted me to have surgery. I'm like, no man, I'm gonna have surgery because my hands hurt. Well, you have nerve damage. I'm like, look bro, I'm not doing that. Another doc wanted me to get on meds. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'd lost my mom to colon cancer already. I'd lost a sister of mine my senior year in high school. She went in for a routine little surgery on her rib. That doc, I love docs, happened to be on the phone with his broker. She went into a coma and passed that weekend. So I'm not too keen on letting people cut into my body, right? And by the way, Western medicine's super cool. It's really advanced. But none of the doctors talk to each other. Have you noticed that? If you're a foot doctor and you're a gut doctor and you're a brain doctor, you guys don't collaborate. They're ripping parts out of your body like you're a car. You're a person. That body was created for a reason. You need those body parts. You rip out the gallbladder, you just took away the liver's best friend. You think you had issues now? Now watch what the future looks like. You need way more enzymes. Do you see where I'm going here? The body works as one. It was made perfectly. We need to give it a chance to do what it can do on its own to heal itself. And we don't need drugs to do that. There is a time and a place. But first, before you go doing all these crazy things, ripping body parts out, trying stuff that are just crazy side effects, try giving your body a chance to do what it's capable of on its own. Doesn't that make more sense? We've been traveling and speaking on gut, and we've been speaking on chemicals and all these things. You guys, I'll be 55 in a couple months. And I don't know how old you are, but when I was growing up, I didn't know of these illnesses. The arthritis I had in my 30s, now we have 6 and 7-year-olds. Diabetes. Our kids are babies, did you guys know babies are being born now with diabetes? They're being born with diabetes. Some of the work we did, Ty and I were with Dr. Melionis, head of pediatrics at Duke University, and he was sharing with us that every single baby born in the United States has over 200 chemicals in their cord blood at birth. So these little ones are starting with all these chemicals in their blood, right? How about autism? Do you remember autism growing up? I don't. I don't know what it was or where it was. But it wasn't really around. And then it was 1 in a couple million, 1 in a million, 1 in whatever, 500,000, 100,000, 50,000, blah, blah, blah. Now you do your own research. One lady yelled at me in Utah because I said, I think it's like 1 in 50 or 60 some, 68. She goes, no, it's 1 in 37. Don't tell me I have 2 kids on the spectrum. I'm like, you win. There you go. And by the way, that fluid with autism will make you bald. When you see what we see in the video testimonials that are being sent to us, that now that child can have eye contact with their parent that they never had before, or maybe it's their verbal skills, or maybe they're just calm. I just watched a video today, a 10-year-old little boy on this fluid who acts like a 2-year-old. For the very first time in his life, he can now dress himself. He couldn't even put his shirt on. He can put all of his clothes on now. From that, that's cool stuff. That's real. That's real. That's what's happening. That's why we want people to know. You have to understand this. I'm going to give you a website to research if you want to know more about CBD. It's an independent website. They post a lot of research there. It's not about products. It's projectcbd.org. Projectcbd.org. They post a lot of information. It's good information. So you can kind of figure things out on your own. Everyone wants to know whatever. Is it good? Is it not good? Did you know real CBD actually makes cancer cells turn on themselves, kill themselves? Did you know that? I'm not saying it's the end-all be-all. I think that's a piece of the puzzle. I've lost my mom to colon cancer. I've lost my dad to brain cancer. I take this fluid every single day, multiple times. 2 summers ago, I had 4 bad spots on my face. Grew up in Arizona and San Diego. I put that fluid twice a day. I took a drop and rubbed it on this side. I took a drop, I rubbed it on this side. It took about almost a month, and all 4 were gone. I noticed about 3 weeks ago, I have a spot that's come back right here. I've started putting it on this spot. It's now fading, and it'll probably be away in another week or 2. These are the things that we're seeing. I've got something right here. That's one of those nasty things. You can still see it. It's about this big. It was about this big. And it's rough, and it's weird, and it's not a good guy. Before I did anything about it, I just decided I'm going to start putting this fluid on there. It's almost gone. We had someone in California do something amazing. I won't even tell you because you wouldn't believe me. But all I got to say is, your body was made to heal itself if given the opportunity. Period. You can trace back basically any sickness, illness, disease to some form of inflammation. And when it comes to food, something went wrong over a period of time. You guys, the most frustrating thing about all of this is not difficult. A lot of this is common sense. But we're so far away from nature that it's so simple, it's kind of unbelievable. Is that right? Would you agree with that? It's really simple. You know, in my mid-50s now, I feel 100%. 100%. I didn't feel 100% in my mid-30s. That it's very different. How many of you feel 100%? You have to raise your hand. But what do you remember what it was like to feel 100%? Most people don't. That might just mean getting out of bed without having pain, or going up the stairs, or whatever it is. It's not like you have to be an elite athlete. You know, we've been fortunate to work with all those people. That was never our intention. Steve Nash, and you guys, this wasn't my intention. Sometimes life puts us in a place we never thought we would be. Ty and I as a couple feel we've been called together to do this. This is our purpose. And it hasn't always been fun. It's been an emotional, financial roller coaster over the years. It's been scary. There's been plenty of the people that do what we do who are no longer walking the planet. You can go research that on your own if you want. Some of the most amazing human beings you've ever met in your life. They're not here anymore. And the stories are mind-boggling what they say happened to these folks. Okay? The cat's out of the bag now. We can talk about this stuff. It's up to you, though. I want to ask you questions. A couple things. How many? So some of you guys tasted that, right? What do you think of the taste of that? I don't care, whatever. Hate it, love it, whatever. What did that taste like to you?
Plant.
Very earthy.
Earthy. Plant.
High school.
High school. Okay.
Concentrated cinnamon.
Concentrated cinnamon. Interesting. There's nothing in there. Just the plant. What else? Anyone feel warm when they took it? Felt warm?
Yeah, I keep yawning. My hearing is improving. I keep yawning and I'm hearing better and better each time I yawn.
Can I put the microphone away now? Speaking of microwaves, don't get me started on that. But anyways, that's interesting. Anyone else feel it kind of traveling? Did anyone kind of feel it traveling through their body at all? Sometimes people will feel that. Yeah, it's weird. You don't really know what it is at first. And okay. Some of you will just, when you get up, you might feel a little different. Some people will feel things right away. Some it may take weeks. Some people will feel a little bit in the beginning. Those receptors are kind of get hit, and then they kind of tap out for a little while, and then the body starts to regulate itself, I guess. We've also noticed that our plant enzymes seem to work better with this fluid for whatever reason. That's been very interesting to us. But it's always neat to see the response of what kind of the effect is on that. What time is it? Anybody?
8:05.
8:05. Okay.
But we started late.
We started late. Okay, just want to, are we very respectful of your time? The biggest thing I want you to understand is you're going to do whatever you're going to do, right? You're going to do it. It's not up to me. You do whatever you do. I get frustrated with the kids' situation because from food and everything else. Last night we were in Tucson and we stayed the night with a good friend of ours, Dr. Tim Harrigan, down in Tucson. And it's neat to watch families that kind of are back to the basics. And I'll give you an example of that. This morning I was watching his 4 kids. I think the oldest is maybe 6, maybe 7. It's 3 girls and a little boy. And in Dr. Tim's home, in the backyard, right outside the back door, he has ropes hanging. They're bolted in. He has rings, David, he has rings hanging. He has them in other places in the home. And the kids, if you're probably one of those parents, they're swinging all over the place. These little children, they're going from the rope to the top. They're swinging from the rings and jumping to the rope, or grabbing the rope with their feet. I was like, holy cow, is there anything underneath that? Right? And then you talk about the food and the different things like that. And all of these things, you guys, we're all going to do what we do, but we've gotten so far away from the way it used to be. It's just goofy, man. It's a goofy, goofy world out there right now. We need to do something about it. Did you know, speaking about the autism spectrum, did you know it might be one in whatever that gal said, 37 now, or whatever it is? Did you know this? Did you know they're saying in the next decade of the United States, if we don't wake up and change what we're doing, it will be some of the reasons. You go look at yourself. I've seen 1 out of 2. Every other child will be born on the spectrum. Every other child. What will our world look like then? That's very interesting to me. That's wild. You know, they're also saying that my generation is the first generation anticipated to outlive their kids. How is that acceptable? How do we keep doing what we're doing? At what point are we going to knock it off and make some changes? So I don't want to keep you guys here. I'm going to hang out, but I want to say a couple things. Number one, I really appreciate you just listening. This is a lot of stuff to get your mind around. And a lot of it sounds hokey. It would sound hokey to me if I'm sitting there. It really, really would. But you guys know your own situation. You know your own family situation, your friends, your loved ones. You know what people are going through. Are we sick? Yeah, stuff going on, man. So this isn't gloom and doom. It's like, let's knock it off. Let's go a new direction now. Enough of this old way. We can change this. But we also need your voice. Right? We can't do this on our own. We'd love to have your voice. If you could help us with this movement, we'd really, really appreciate that. We'd really dig that. I'm looking at you, ma'am, if I could just say, you're in a chair, right? You're in a wheelchair. We just saw a lady that we started a couple months back on plant enzymes and CBD. She's 84. And I only just thought of this because I saw your chair. She's no longer in her chair. That's super cool to me. That's super, super cool. Every little thing is cool. Every little thing is cool when the body does it on its own. It needed a chance. And that's what I'm asking you to do with CBD. Give CBD a chance. Get over yourself. I had to get over myself. Dr. Gupta had to get over himself. Okay? And there's a time and place for the other part of the plant. That has its value. But what we're talking about is not that right now. You need to understand that. This is different. Less is more. I would say if you want to use this fluid, it's 2 to 3 drops, a couple drops. 2 drops 2 to 3 times a day. Okay? That would be the way to start. If you've got something more specific you're trying to accomplish, I would put up to 12 drops in your body in a 24-hour period. And I'd space those out, like 3 3 drops, maybe 4 times a day. If it's something that, maybe it's an anxiety attack, maybe it's seizures, maybe it's a real bad chronic pain issue, you can use more. It's okay. There's no bell curve. I just don't want you to use too much. I want you to listen to your body, right? Because oftentimes less will do what it's supposed to do. It will always do what it's supposed to do to your body. That doesn't mean everything's going to just go away for you. Maybe a certain pain. It might. For many people it does. But don't think CBD is not doing. I hear this with enzymes. Enzymes didn't work for me. What do you mean? What were they supposed to do? I wanted to lose weight because a lot of people lose weight with enzymes. Okay. Well, enzymes work every time. Plant enzymes break down cooked food every single time, period, end of story. What that means for your body is different than what it means for his or hers. But they work every time. This CBD fluid works every time. Most people, not all, tend to sleep better. But it's like an adaptogen. It's going to do different things. It's going to go different places basically in the body. It's different. We're all the same, but we're different. So don't misunderstand and think, my hair didn't grow or whatever it was. You don't do that. Have realistic expectations and take it one day at a time. It may take you one day, it may take you 1 month, it may take you 3 or 4, 6 months. Give your body a chance to do what it's capable of doing. Don't tap out when you're just getting started. Do more of what Rhonda talks about. Did you know the national average, as we travel all over this country, the average American eats about 5% raw or fresh and living food? 5%. Why don't you just start with your food? Start there. We're talking about a plant. The medicine's in the plant. Drugs are amplified medicine, basically, right? Isolated, amplified, and that's what they're doing in these oils. That's why we're not big fans of them. Okay, we still prefer them over some other things, but do things that don't have a cost to your body. And you can look at that website, the Project CBD, and you'll see there's no research in any way, shape, or form showing side effects from what we're talking about with CBD or plant enzymes. Okay, you don't see studies say that if you eat too many oranges, it's bad for you. You might see a study that says too much vitamin C from ascorbic acid is bad for you. You have to read the rest of what the research or what the study was. Okay? And then the studies are very difficult, right? Who's paying for the study? You guys, here's a study to me. Here's all I want to know. Is there a cost to the body? And what's the end result? And we've seen thousands and thousands of lives change for the past 15, 20 years. That's what we see. That's what I want to know. That's my research that I need. I want to know if it's safe for the human body, and then what will the result be is we don't know yet until we witness that. Okay? So we don't judge you for being medicated. We don't judge you for eating like poo. That's your life. You eat whatever you're going to eat. Do whatever you're going to do. Okay? It's your prerogative. It's you. It's your body. We don't judge you. We don't judge you. We don't teach weight loss. We teach a healthy lifestyle. We lose weight because of a healthy lifestyle. If weight is something that you're dealing with, sure, we can help you deal with that. There are things to do. I'll throw something at you. Eat what she prepares only. And most people, if you just ate all raw for 30 or 60 days, most people wouldn't recognize you. They wouldn't even know who you were. That's how much underlying inflammation is going on in the human body. So if you want to change the way you look and feel, go raw. It's not real fun. Sorry, Rhonda. Okay? And we're not perfect either the way Tylene and I eat. We don't eat perfectly. But I'd rather pick my poisons. This is the moral of this story. Pick your poisons. And maybe it's food. Maybe it's, well, pizza's kind of cool to me, so that would be a poison. I'd rather eat pizza than take a vitamin that's going to be harmful to me. Why would I do that? Why would I wash my hair with something that's going to harm me? Why would I wash my hands with something that's going to harm me? Why would I use cologne once I learned how bad and toxic that was for me. I don't want to stink, but I'll use some essential oils, right? Instead of cologne. Ladies, I won't even go into makeup. Brutal. All that stuff, all these chemicals are endocrine disruptors. You know what that is? Your sexual health. Do we have any sexual reproduction issues now? Do we have male issues? Testosterone, low T. Low T. That little blue pill, man, that thing's rocking. It's a big industry, right? We have stuff going on, endocrine system, dirty blood from our food, okay? Thyroid is your endocrine system. Do we have thyroid issues now? Where did that come from? Interesting. All these chemicals in our food and all this poo, it's disrupting our body, the makeup of who we are and how our body's supposed to function and operate. That's what I want you to know. That's what's important. Ron, I've got a little bit of CBD here. I don't have a lot. I brought some back from this trip. Didn't even know I had it. I got a little bit. I don't have a lot. If you want to get some, you got to figure out how. Whoever sent you here, they can tell you there's a Brizo Pure something website you can go to. They'll tell you how to do it. Get with whoever brought you here, and they'll show you how to order it. And then I don't know where it is. I left it over there. If you can maybe track it for me, go show them your order. There's not that many bottles, but you can take it home with you if you want some. And they'll get with whoever invited you here, and then do that. Just hold your questions. I'm going to stay. I just want to free people up so they can swim home or whatever they got to do. So, you got something else? You good? Well, come on up. But you guys, very grateful that you're here. We appreciate you very much. And that's why we decided to kind of extend our trip. And you need this. We need this. We all need this. We need to run as fast as we can right now. We need to get off the kind of the same track we've been on. And we want to educate people when it comes to CBD because it's blowing up. Let me tell you what's happening with CBD, and then I'll shut my mouth. What they're anticipating in the next 36 months, 2 to 3 years in the United States is about a $24 billion, you can tell how tired I am, $24 billion shift into CBD. They're saying it's going to surpass Starbucks revenue in the U.S. It's goofy that we're comparing Starbucks, isn't it? So we're going to do more, CBD is going to do more revenue than Starbucks in the next 2 to 3 years. 23, 24, 25 billion dollars. I'm going to tell you something else. This is going to blow your mind. This is why you want to run fast. Every single person, in my opinion, that you know in the United States, everyone, every single human being in the next 3 years will be using CBD, even if they don't know it. Even if they're not buying a CBD product, it will be in their coffee. It will be in their beverages. It will be in their beer. It will be in their wine. It will be in their food. It will be in their skincare. It will be in their personal care. Every one of you will be using CBD. Everyone you know will. I would much rather have them be educated on what type to use and how much to pay. Doesn't that make more sense? So let those people know before they start wasting their time and money on plant medicine. It's like probiotics. Anyone here like probiotics? Take probiotics? Okay. Let me tell you, it's the same story. You can go buy expensive probiotics in the refrigerator at the store. They tell you they got to be refrigerated. They can charge you more, right? You know when the yogurt companies came out, by the way, with probiotics, you know they all got sued? They let the cat out of the bag on probiotics. You know that? Follow the money. You do not need to go buy expensive probiotics in the refrigerator. If they have to be refrigerated, how in the heck are they going to live in your body temperature? Again, I'm not that smart. They'll have medicinal value, but they won't go into your lower intestine and colonize and do what probiotics are fully capable of doing. Does that make sense? Okay, it's the same kind of thing. We got to wake people up, make them aware of what's going on. Get a piece of this $23, $24 billion industry if you want. I'm tired of hearing people's financial woes. Tired of it. You know why? Because it's health disrupting. I'm so tired of hearing that. When people say, Sean and Ty, how do you guys do that? You have no idea what we went through to create enough abundance to go do what we do. If you want to change your life, then flip and change it. Definitely don't whine about money. when $24 billion is coming through this country the next 2 to 3 years, and you can have a little slice of that. Use your voice like we use ours. We'll help you do that. You want to distribute this whole flower fluid? We'll help you do that. If you don't, you just want to use it, great. You don't want to use it, great. But don't whine and complain that you don't feel good. And don't whine and complain that you can't go do what you want when you want. I heard it today 3 or 4 times. You guys can travel and go. I'm like, man, you don't even know how hard we work. I haven't even seen my house in a month. We're busting our butt for a reason. We want you to be healthy. And we want you to tell the next person to be healthy. And we found a way. We've got a new partner with a big platform that we can operate on, that we can get you compensated for sharing this message. You guys are awesome. I'll hang out for a while. Thank you so much. Rhonda, thanks for putting this together.